like lots of us, I belong to my state farming organisation, being New South Wales Farmers in my case. And just like my guest, she's very involved in the local branch and the farming community. We're basically neighbours, but we've never actually met. So New South Wales Farmers thought we should fix that. Two things I love about podcasting: talking to farmers and seeing them on their farms. We've got a special guest today, Tracy Blackburn. Come inside with me. Tracy.
Jack.
Thanks for having me.
No worries at all. Thanks for coming over, seeing how you live so close.
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
Okay.
So, welcome to the Farms Voice podcast, but thank you for having me in your home.
And thank you for coming over, much appreciated. So,
It's one of my favourite things is talking farming, but to farmers as well, to find out what's happening in and around the joint, what's happening under the covers, but also what's happening like right across New South Wales and even Australia. Just fill us in a little bit of how you got going, your roles previously, and how you wound up to your role today.
I've been involved with farming all of my life. Okay, grew up around Armidale, moved to west of Moree when I was in my teens. I've worked in the Northern Territory, I've worked in the Gulf country of Australia, I've worked in Canada. I've also held obviously various off-farm roles and things like that, working in the seed industry. I've also worked in the finance industry, and I've also worked in the racing industry, which is a little bit different, but that's just all part of it. We all bring different skills into ag, and that's part of it here. But it's, yeah, so I've sort of been with this farming family, you know, stepping in as the woman, effectively for about 12 or 13 years or something like that. We are a fairly large farming operation in central New South Wales. It's a family farming operation. We do broadacre cropping. We have cattle opportunity with sheep every now and then, but it's like, so you just try and keep that all rolling through.
Yeah, beautiful.
So.
In the racing industry or something, there's always like a lot of our output goes into the racing industry as well, like as feed. And I think it's just cool to draw on those experiences, like from going to Canada, working in finance. So tell us a little bit about the industry that you covered as well within ag.
Okay, within ag, we're tied up with the grains industry. Obviously, we actually have quite a big grains industry. Quite a big grains operation here. I'm also tangled up in New South Wales Farmers on the Grains Committee, which means that and also my background as far as the family goes, when I was growing up, we were share farming at Wingadee in between Canamble and Walgett, apart from having our own farming as well. So you've been around it all your life and the whole thing. The same with the cattle, been around it all my life. And even working up north, and when I was working in Canada, it was working on a mixed grain and cattle farm. So you're seeing things from all sorts of different angles when you're doing that, but it's, yeah.
And how do you approach each day? Like, what does your daily routine look like now? With your experience, like it differs right across like industries to people to what you do, but how do you like to set yourself up, the family, the team, to get the most out of like what you're doing now with your committee roles, but also like in your day-to-day?
Okay, in the day-to-day, you've got to prioritise what you're doing. So I will admit that I'm a little bit regimented in things. So it's like Monday is the farm office day. So I pop over to one of our other properties over the road here. That's where the main farming office is. That's payday. That is catch up on bookwork day. That is send emails out to Joe and Terry to tell them where things are at, what bills are coming up, where things are sitting, so that we're on top of that side of things. Because as we all know, even though you think of farming and you think it's all sitting out there on the tractor and you're doing this, that and the other, or you're chasing cows out the paddock, we also know that there's a lot of rigmarole goes on behind the scenes, whether it's dealing with your wages, whether it's paying your bills, whether it's sorting out your BAS, whether it's just your equipment finance, it's just dealing with your banks, it's dealing with everything else. So you've got all that going on behind the scenes while everybody else can be sitting out there on the tractor and doing their things. But somebody has got to be picking up the pieces in between all of that and making sure that we're keeping up all your little subtle things. Like you've got to make sure that your ATO obligations are met. You've got to make sure your superannuation, you're keeping your wages right. You've got everything. That side of the business is also running. So that, that's basically Monday. Make sure I do, and you keep doing that all through the rest of the week too. But it's like Monday is the office day over there. The rest of the week I actually work from here. I've got it all set up with my 4 computer screens in my office so that I can mess around and do it from here. And so you're picking up little bits and pieces along the way. Other than that, like the rest of the week, it's like, yes, Wednesdays and Thursdays I'm working off farm. I work at Dubbo Turf Club as well at the moment. So it's like so that's your off farm days. But then there's other days Terry will come in and say, can you just do this? Now, we all know that when somebody says, when somebody comes in and says just, there's no just to anything. It's like, let's take a cut lunch and let's take the water bottle. And even in weather like this, let's take a jumper as well, because it might be 2 days before we come home. So yeah, there's no just. So you go and, if you've got to go and stand in the creek and act like a fence, well, that's what you do. So.
Yeah, no, it's a good way to put it. The theme for this year for the podcast is compounding, but I think it's like compounding investing is probably more known, but compounding of decisions that we make each day. We make 35,000 a day, but I think farmers, we could nearly double that.
We could easily double that. And let's face it, the decisions that we make at harvest time are already impacting our incoming crop. It's like, where are you going to have your trash lines? Where are you going to do this? What is your crop rotation and everything else? And it's the same with your livestock. The decisions that you are making today are going to impact that herd in 3 to 4 years' time. So so when you're saying, okay, we're making a day-to-day decision, you are for what's happening on that day, but you also know that it's going to impact how your operation is working in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time. So you've actually got to be fairly on the ball with what you're doing. Clearly there's a hair.
For those who aren't seeing the video, Jack Russell, Reggie just leapt off her lap, tore off after some introduced wildlife. The dog didn't stand much of a chance. Anyway, back into it.
But before we get really stuck into the good stuff, the nitty gritty as well, what worries you the most about the farming industry at the moment? And then I'll go, what are you loving?
Okay, there is actually a lot of worries. I mean, obviously we have a lot of variability at the moment. I think one of our biggest issues, in all seriousness, is commodity prices, because our input prices for everything, our input and compliance prices, because we have a lot of compliance and a lot of nitty gritty you got to do behind the hand, whether it's your sheep EIDs, whether it's your your cattle, this, that and the other. We've then got pressures from the EU with our grains and, our declarations and how we're growing things. You've got outside pressures coming in about, everybody wanting to make sure that everything's ethical and sustainable and rah, rah, rah. We've got to be sustainable or else we're not going to be here, are we? It's that's just it. You've got to be looking after yourself. In a lot of ways, farmers and primary producers are seeing as these big boogeymen who are just raping and pillaging and everything else. But if we were doing that, we wouldn't be here. Our soils would be gone. It just wouldn't be working at all. So I think those outside pressures have I think they're our biggest threats, and the influences of people who have a lesser understanding of what it actually takes to grow something, the time, the commitment, the fact that you've got to outlay all your costs before you see anything coming in, are able to make decisions on our behalf that really deeply impact what we're doing, whether it's somebody saying you've got to lock up this piece of country for the good of the country and grow a whole heap of trees on it. It's like, are you going to do that in your backyard? But they expect us to be their environmental conscience. They expect us to be their sustainability conscience. And they're not taking that onus on themselves. They're pushing that burden onto us. But then there's no gain for us. We've just got to give up something else and something else. Then they complain about the cost of food. But realistically, the cost of our groceries is very minimal in our lifestyle choices.
I think it brings it back, like the things that are troubling you is what New South Wales farmers, every farming board across Australia committee is looking to hone in on for their area, for your grains and for your workplace relations. Your you're having impact within those communities. Just before we get into it, what's the things that you're loving within farming at the moment?
Okay, loving in farming is I sit here, I love green grass, as we can. You just go, hey, you just sit here and go, the fact that we can produce things that you know within yourself that you are doing things, and quite frankly, I actually love just going out and looking at the cows and, you know, all their differences and things like that. But you also get joy when you see a crop that's looking good and you go, yeah, that brings me, it's just those little uplifting things that you see a bit. You just go, yeah, that's, you know, who would want to live where you can't actually experience that?
So there's things to love, there's things that we don't love as much in farming. Let's talk about New South Wales Farmers. Why did you join?
I joined, and it was actually, I'd been a member for quite some time, but I probably, you know, just because you wanted to be part of a farming thing and feel like you belonged, I wasn't all that active probably until when we were going through the drought around about that 2018, 2019, and I thought, hang on a minute, you know, things have got to change here, something's got to give, we've got a bit of an issue, I need to go in and start being more active and see what's going on behind the scenes, because we can all sit there and we say that somebody has got to do something or they should be doing this, but when you start getting into things, the they and the someone is actually us.
Yeah.
It's like if
Who's they?
That is it. Who is they? Who is this mythical somebody?
Oh, geez, we should do something about that.
We should do something about.
Yeah.
We.
Yeah.
Who the hell is that we? Yeah. And how are they going to know what I'm thinking if I'm actually not participating in the discussion itself, no matter what level that discussion is? And so I thought I've really got to be more active with this and start going, what is going on? And we also say, oh, nobody's doing anything about this. When you start working behind the scenes, you actually work out that people are trying to do things, but when you're trying to deal with governments or anything else or bureaucrats or trying to get something through anywhere, you work out that there is this great long process. It is like trying to watch paint dry a lot of the times, and you have that many roadblocks, whether it is the way legislation is written, which, I mean, we see something and we think it would be common sense just to do this. Yeah. And then there'll be legislation that says, no, you can't do that because it can't, you know, and you're like, oh my God, how do we get around this? So that was probably the catalyst for getting a little bit more involved with New South Wales Farmers, just taking on that mentality of saying, okay, we need to do some things, you know, this drought's pretty ordinary.
I was just about to ask, was it during the drought that you were wanting answers or like what's happening?
Yeah.
Because I think if we wait around for those pinch me moments, be it they are good that they push people in looking for answers, but when the grass is green,
you don't.
Yeah, we don't as much. We think it's a little bit better. We don't worry about our profit a bit too much if it's coming in. We just know that's happening. But if we work on ourselves, our farms, our business, our industry, when the grass is green, how much better is it going to be when it goes dry, we're in a drought, or it's green again?
That's just it. And that's also part of this whole learning curve that I've been on. It's like, okay, yes, I started it at a pinch point, but then you go, hang on, we do need to look at all this when the grass is green and things are okay. Yep. Even though it's running smoothly. I mean, nothing ever runs smoothly in farming, as everybody knows, but you know, you can pretend it does. But you just go, okay, going into, you know, whatever pinch point we've got coming up next, you've got a fair bit more idea now about what sort of barriers we will be up against and where we can put resources to try and get whatever answers we may need in the future. And as we sit here now, we don't know what answers we're going to need in the future because we don't know what we're up against. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But it's like, if you know, well, to do this, I've got to push this door, I've got to talk to this person. To do that, I've got to do this. Has New South Wales Farmers got any... And I suppose an example of this was when the Dubbo sale yards came up for sale. Oh, yeah. Not that we put a lot of livestock through the sale yards. We actually sell most of our cattle straight to the to Tays or somewhere like that. Yep. But having that facility in Dubbo, when you started looking at what's happened with some of the sale yards that have actually been privatised, you went, we do not want Dubbo sale yards privatised. That would be to the detriment and Dubbo is a fairly large as you would be well aware, it's a very large livestock market. It draws cattle from Western New South Wales, from as far north as Roma, from south.
We bought
Yeah.
South Australian cattle out of there last year.
Yeah,
When they get dry, they send them up and
They
the
send
best
them up.
market they can.
that's it. And so you still needed that, and also having a fairly good relationship with the livestock agents around town, talking to them, and it was like, holy hell, we've got to do something here. New South Wales Farmers itself, because we hadn't come across this sort of stuff before, didn't actually have any policy on their thing, which meant that the paid New South Wales Farmers staff that actually do a lot of the pushing with politicians and everything else, they couldn't do anything because we didn't, as an organisation, have policy.
Yeah, right.
So us on the ground, the branches around here close to Dubbo, we all got together and said, well, we know what we need to do. Let's all get together. So we were. And as you know, the outcome was that the council didn't end up selling the sale yard. So that was like just going, okay, we've got a pinch point here, let's do it. As a result of that, we now, our branches obviously got together and we said, this is the sort of resolution or motion that we need to put up at annual conference, so that going forward, if this happens in any other place in New South Wales Farmers actually has a motion on its books, so that the staff and the people up there have something that they can work with in other communities as well. And so that was one of the outcomes from there.
Yeah, fantastic.
So
So looking at the younger farmers, what can you tell the younger farmers out there listening in today to this podcast, this video, to have their say on what they want for the industry? Because they're the future. I still think I'm a young farmer. Hopefully I pass. But what would you like to sort of pass on to them and get them involved?
okay, young farmers, and we all think we're young farmers, including me, but I'm probably not. But you sit there and you go, to be able to get your ideas across, you've actually got to join up with people who are there with the processes and can help guide you through. You've got to come in and you go, yes, we've got ideas and this is what we want to do. But unless you're presenting them to somebody, they're only going to stay as ideas. So that's why you've got to join up with other like-minded people, which hopefully you will find in New South Wales Farmers as well, especially if we can encourage more younger people to come in. When you're together as a collective, you can all talk. And then the other thing is too, is we all find you have an idea, somebody else has the same idea, you can all get together. Somebody else will come in with a slightly different take on that idea and you go, hey, yeah, that's okay, let's expand on that as well and keep going. And that's what it is. And then with the experience it's also in New South Wales Farmers, they can say, well, okay, you want to do this, this and this. To do that, we've got to go through this channel. Yes, we're going to have a roadblock here or whatever else. Let's make sure that we have all the information that we need to say this is actually a good idea, let's keep progressing this. And so it's also a way to help encourage you to say, okay, we've got this idea, because we can all have ideas. Trying to work out how we get through that idea and actually get it in motion can sometimes be a bit of a challenge. And that's where having people with ideas and people with a little bit more experience on how we get it through can also be of benefit. So it's like, hell yeah, it's like, come along with your ideas and
Yeah, for sure. And I think
and join in. And unless you're joining in and having part of it, it's like everything else. It's like having a conversation at the pub. You can have a conversation at the pub all you like, but unless you actually get off and be that somebody, or the we or the they, that mythical creature, that's where it's going to stay.
Yeah. And I think it, like being that fly on the wall for a little bit, even as a younger farmer, as a farmer in general, just to get an understanding of what's happening across the state, across the country. And like you're going to take ideas back from that and coming in as the collective for sure. I think I read up on swarm theory a bit more last week, and I think if we are swarming together as farmers, and not to try and reinvent the wheel, if there's something that's running really well out there, jump on board.
Yes.
Have your impact within that. And like I think a lot of things in ag can become isolated. You can become isolated, but as a group we don't really need to be too much. We're working out in the paddock all the time, but just to know that stuff is actually happening.
Exactly, and that's why you've got to be part of it. And seeing how we've got stuff actually happening, why don't we take a little drive out and see what we can find?
That sounds good. Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Come on, Reg.
he'd come.
What are we going to see today?
Countryside, hopefully.
After a nice 80 mil.
Yes, 80 mil here, but not 80 mil everywhere else. It's like,
What'd you get out the back?
or on the farming country, I think it was more towards that 70, oh, they're not 70, I think it was more towards 40-ish, between 20 and, a bit down to 20, so.
Well, fingers crossed, hey?
Yeah, we'll need it.
So you do park run every Saturday somewhere?
Try to.
How many different ones have you done?
Over 20
Yeah, right.
different areas. I've done 370 something park runs all up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And it's just one of those things. It's like any piece of community involvement. I mean, and I know farmers always think that they're fit and whatever else, but unless they're sitting in a machine with an auto steer,
Yeah, most
they're
of the time.
in the machine.
Yeah.
Yes, you get out of your truck and you walk across the catwalk at the top when you're loading and unloading your cattle, but you huff and puff while you're doing it.
Yeah. No, I think it's a huge thing.
Yeah, no, fitness is a huge thing. That's like.
There's that word comes from Europe somewhere or whatever, like the in between. So if you can do that, work it into your day rather than actually taking an hour out, it probably suits farmers a bit better. Like instead of driving to the workshop when it's 50, 200 metres away, walk.
And do that sort of stuff. Because the other thing I do is half marathons.
Yeah.
And I sort of got a couple of them coming up. Plus I'm going to do UTA this year, which is over in the Blue Mountains. Got 951 steps at the end of it. So I've been doing a whole heap of training at the stairs at the back of Cole at Woolies, so that.
My claim to fame is doing the London Marathon.
Good on you.
Yeah. It was cool.
That would be cool.
Did a couple of halves over there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you do it. So yeah.
Yeah. I set the home gym up at home and it just makes it so much easier. Don't waste time going into town and out of town.
I actually train with a personal trainer from Longreach, and that's it. My home gym is in the lounge room.
Yeah.
It's like you just, with off the track training, it's like.
Oh, it's with
Joy McClymont.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was on the podcast.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago.
Yeah, I do it with Joy. And I have done since she basically started out.
Yeah. I think those little groups though, like they find that little 1% improvement for yourself or
Oh shit, yeah.
that connection back to people.
Yeah, no, you do that. But you also notice it when you go out to do something. Like if I'm working with the boys in the cattle yards during the day, it means, you might have only popped in there to bring them lunch or, bring tags and stuff out. But then you start working in with them. But because I can keep working the backyards and the race and I can keep going and all they've got to do is the crush and the cradle or whatever, we can get a lot done.
Yeah.
It's like you just go, yep. See, there's where the Burrabadine RFS is.
Yep.
So like I said, when I'm leaving home, you can just look out, you can see if there's any issues.
So how often do you meet up with them?
We actually have a meeting every 2 months, but as far as call outs, it just depends on how many storms are coming across, what's happening at the time. Sometimes you're 5 times a day, sometimes it's,
Talking of policy, that ruling of using private vehicles to fight fires, that's probably one of the most improved.
It is one of the most improved, and I know, and like sometimes there's argy-bargy between RFS and New South Wales farmers in general with firefighting thing, because back in the day, everybody just had a plant on farm, you rocked up, did your whole thing, whereas now it's a little bit different to that. Part of that's probably come through from insurance and pressures from, rule makers higher up. We've all got to comply with this, that and the other, which is the way it is. But it's like, being able to actually, go, hey, I've got my farm equipment here, this is my thing, I can go to a fire. And
going back to capacity, like finding the time for RFS, your grains committee, workplace relations committee, how does that impact or promote growth for yourself, your community?
okay, for myself and community, sometimes you've just got to put time, aside to be able to do these things, because you can't. And part of it's not having your head stuck in the sand and saying, well, there's times that I would like to stay home and go, I don't want to have anything to do with any of this and just live in my own little bubble. But then there comes a time, like with the RFS, you've got heaps to do, but then if we've got, and a typical example was a few weeks ago when we had fires happening down North Burrabadine Road, we had this, that and the other, and you're like, hang on a minute. Everybody, if something goes wrong, is looking for somebody to come and help, and in this instance, I am actually that somebody. So I have got to go. And it is the same with Workplace Relations Committee. If we've got stuff happening, say when COVID was on, or they are changing the visas for people coming in and whatever else, it's like, hang on a minute, we need to have input into this, because this, in the long term, is going to affect our business.
Yeah.
I mean, it's affecting other farmers, and I'll be straight out blunt. The stuff that I do, yes, it's for farmers, but what benefits farmers benefits us.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't think it's all just, I'm out there for the good of everybody else. I'm also out there for the good of myself.
Yeah.
I've got a vested interest in farmers being good farmers.
Yeah.
Because there's no point saying I don't. It's like, but it's the same with the whole community thing. Whether it's CWA and you're going, right, when we're doing this, because even with CWA, there's a lot of policies and a lot of stuff that CWA does that crosses over with the good of a farm, with the good of New South Wales farmers and everything else. And it becomes quite holistic in the end. Being part of all those different organisations too, you also meet different people. So if something's going on, you have an idea who you need to go and talk to go, listen, we've got this particular issue. How do we address it? What do we do? It's like you go, well, okay, it's sort of, that old catchphrase, we're building up the network of people.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing. And you're going out there and you're seeing what others do. It also means that others that are in your community know that you're also there and they can call on you.
Yeah.
Which, it's not a bad feeling.
I find it like everyone that I talk to, obviously, that comes on the podcast, they're similar to what you want. Like, they want a little bit more for the community, for your industry, for the farm.
Yeah.
So you find your people that want to do a bit, make some change, create some impact, whether that be like being in touch, connected with your mates all of the time, or that's having impact down in Canberra, whatever you sort of do.
And that's just it. It's so wide ranging with a lot of the stuff you do, and it goes right from your front door right through to Canberra. And there's just all sorts of little things, like, the say with the RFS is, if there's a fire down here, well, I don't particularly want it on my place, so I'm better off to be in the RFS, try and get it pulled up here before it gets up there, or before it gets over to you. It's like, you don't want it on your place either. So it's like, and the only way we can do that is to be part of something that's going to help pull it up. And it's the same with, policies, whether it's like when we're having the mouse plague, trying to get the baits with the right level of toxicity and stuff like that. And that was a hell of a job to try and get that through. But it was like, because somebody, which just happened to be us, was behind the scenes pushing it through. So that then yes, it's going to benefit us because we can have the higher toxicity mouse baits to help kill things a bit faster, get things under control faster, but it helps everybody else as well. And it's the same with the drought transport subsidies, back in 2017, 18, 19, when, in 2020, when things were pretty pear-shaped, it's like keeping those, your diesel fuel rebates, all that sort of stuff. It's just the little bits and pieces that you go, we've got to have some input into this. We've got to keep it ticking away behind the scenes. And yes, it benefits us, but it also benefits farmers as a whole, and hopefully in the end the community.
So how long have you actually been in New South Wales Farmers?
I've been in New South Wales Farmers on and off for probably 15 years or more, but I have only been, as we talked about a little bit earlier, there was a pinch point back in around about 2018 where I thought, when we were doing the whole drought thing, that I thought, hang on, somebody's got to be standing up here. I mean, we're all worn out, we're all frazzled, and I just thought, no, I've got to start stepping up here, because this is really hurting, which it was. And so it took a pinch point for me to become more active with New South Wales farmers. But yeah, so basically since 2018, 2019, I've actually been quite active, going to the annual conferences. I think I joined the Grains Committee in about 2019 or 2020, something like that.
Yep.
It was like then been there on that sense. And I joined the Workplace Relations Committee probably 2 years after that, I think.
Yep. So what does workplace relations obviously entails?
The workplace relations thing, it was like, well, okay, obviously it covers employment, it covers the engagement of your workers, it covers your visas, and as we know, agriculture is very cyclic in our needs for workers and stuff like that, and for staff. When you've got governments that want us to be able to employ people for 12 months a year, well, we don't need the number of people that we have at harvest time to work for us all year round, because they'd be sitting there twiddling their thumbs. It's like, no, this is just not going to work at all. And apart from that, our commodities versus our inputs, you just couldn't afford to do it. We'd all be bust within, the first 12 months. That'd be the end of it. And
I think for people just to grapple
Again, for the listeners, that's the sound of us stopping at roadworks on the Mitchell Highway to Narromine. If you know, you know.
Like how huge it is. I always use my mate's example at Moree. They're probably 10 full-timers throughout the year.
Yeah.
And then throughout harvest, they float up to 60 people.
Yeah.
Like that is a true workforce, smashing out the hours in the tractor.
Oh.
Making the food, be whatever the job is. But like what other businesses can manage going from 10, like just housing them?
Exactly.
A huge issue.
That is a huge issue, and we find it too, because like we basically have roughly 8 people working for us full time all year, and at harvest time it ramps up to be roughly 25.
Yeah.
So you've got, and because we contract harvest at Moree as well as our own country down here, we've got those 25 people for roughly 2 to 3 months of the year, and some of them stay on. Like we've got them on now helping us with the summer the summer jobs and whatever else. Some of them will come back. Obviously, another time when we need a lot of employees, but not as many, is at sowing time. Yep. You sort of ramp up then, you've probably got about 12 employees, but it's like, economically, we just can't do that all year round. It's like finding the accommodation for them, finding the right people that will fit, that have that spatial awareness that you can actually put on a tractor too. And And I know there during COVID when things were pretty tight and everyone's saying, oh, just employ the hairdressers or something out of Sydney. Well, it was like, they're not going to want to give up their rent on a Sydney house or whatever else and come and live with us for 3 months of the year in a swag and then go back to their life.
What was interesting was the plane pilots coming out to operate the machinery. Like just to highlight that, or just for them to come and transferable skills into what we're doing on farms throughout harvest, through planting season. I actually nearly prefer planting seasons. A bit calmer,
it's
a bit more relaxed. The kit can be a little bit bigger, like wider.
Yes.
But I think if you focus on a couple of things on there, you can really improve. And I suppose that's what you're doing in your Grains Community Workplace Relations.
Exactly.
You are the focus groups.
We are the focus groups, and that was one thing I did notice when I joined the Workplace Relations Committee, was there was actually, obviously because agriculture is such a broad thing, it's like right through. So there was, horticulture was represented on the Workplace Relations Committee, but not so much us as broadacre farmers with that whole thing. So then, when you're talking about what can and cannot be done, and as far as policies and your 417 visas and all the rest of the stuff, I was sort of stepping in and saying, hey, but from a broadacre point of view, this is what they need. And they're going, actually, it's really good to have somebody here because we haven't had that viewpoint in here. And it's like, and then when you start to talk to politicians, like we were sort of having round tables with Tara Morrity and people like that, and it was like, you could step in and they're focusing on, let's get these islander workers and you need to employ them for 12 months and this, and this. And you're going, hang on a minute. The skills that they've got aren't transferable to what we need for this with the machinery and everything else that's going to be operating. And we can't have them for 12 months because of this, and this.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, okay, different viewpoint. And that is another reason why people need to step up when you're sort of saying, well, why do you need to be a member of an organisation like New South Wales Farmers? It's because, you know, agriculture itself is such a broad industry. You know, you've got your sheep producers, you've got your cattle producers, you've got your broadacre grains producers, whatever else. Agriculture itself in Australia, let's face it, we go from Tasmania right through the Cape to Cape York over to the top of Western Australia.
Yep.
You've got different climates. You've got variations in zones, towns, distances, roads.
Totally different kettle of fish.
Totally different kettle of fish, and so you need wide and varying. And while I can walk in there and say, well, I've got this particular viewpoint, this is a representation from my area. When you walk into a room full of people, somebody else says, well, I'm from down here, this is our viewpoint, which are different. And so you're starting to get all this different thing, and you're going, hang on, how are we going to have a united front when we then have to go and deal with somebody who's making a policy who has no idea about what any of us are talking about?
Yeah.
How are we going to get them to focus on a particular issue?
I think, it's the think tanks of what's happening out there. Like, even take these roadworks, for example. We sat there for 10 minutes. What impact does that have on 100 trucks carting grain each day on the Narromine Road, where there's nearly been, we can say, roadworks?
For about 3 years?
Yeah.
It's like,
there's more works than road going on. But, like, how New South Wales farmers can take their voice as well, like, as an organisation, and say, like, the road needs to be improved, needs to be better along these key routes that get the inputs in and the outputs out. I think, like, it's quite easy to forget if you're working within the grains to livestock that there's so many other committees out there to be involved in, for those in horticulture, aquaculture, even fighting for the abalone out there in New South Wales and across Australia.
Yeah, that's just it. And that comes back down to where your interests are, what you know about. And so, I mean, the whole thing, when anyone talks of ag, they just think of your broadacre farmer effectively, or your sheep or your cattle, but there's just that much more to it. And even within the Grains Committee, because we've got members from basically from Moree right down to the Victorian border. So it's like you're sitting there going, we have a cross section of what's happening across the state at the time. And last year was a typical example. Moree's having a top season. We were having, where our season was pretty good too. Further west at Nyngan, where we've got another member, Richard Boodle, his season wasn't near as good as ours. And then you got the ones further down south going, well, here's me trying to find my canola that hasn't come up. And so you're getting a cross-section about what's happening, because sometimes we can get a little bit tied up to going, this is happening in our area, so you just think that's happening absolutely everywhere, and, you know, everybody's going to be facing the same issues as me. It's like, no, they're not. And that's probably one of the beauties too of being part of an organisation that has a reach across the state, because then you do get a bit of a different viewpoint. You get dragged out of your comfort zone a bit. And you go, well, okay, I'm not the only one that's facing this, or, okay, this is my challenge, but somebody else has got that challenge. So, you know, we're all doing this, that, and the other. Where can we get a win or two to help things along?
Yeah. What do you think your why is for New South Wales farmers, but like farming in general? I think a lot of people outside of farming don't know or understand what our why is. You could be there in 2017 to 2019, there was a lot of questions going about of why am I doing this. Some probably did leave, but for those that stuck around and were able to bear the brunt of it, like, did you understand a little bit more about what your why was? Why do we do this? Why do you continually?
You do,
drive?
And you know, especially through that 2017, 2018, you're sitting there, what else could I be doing? That we all enjoy different things and we all have different mindsets. And it's like, what do we do? For me, and I've done it before, I have lived in town, but it just does not float my boat. I've already tried it. Being outside, having a bit of space around me is what I need.
Yep.
So that's part of it. You know, you have your times when you sit there and you come across a calf and it's all, you know, they're cute. I actually have one of my ex-potty calves from 2017. She lives out on our place at Quambone. She's...
Named or not named?
Oh yeah, Clem Cow. Everybody knows Clem Cow.
Yeah.
Clem Cow I can walk up to in the paddock and still give her a cuddle. She might only see me unless she's got a calf. Then she's very protective and she will just float. But, you know, you go out there our livestock agent, all the boys, they all know Clem Cow, and they'll come home and go, Clem Cow's done this or Clem Cow's done, because she just does whatever she likes. So, you know, if there's green to feed somewhere else, she's
going.
She's in that paddock. She's like, yeah, whatever. But so you sort of have those little moments. Through 2017, 2018, 2019, I know people were sort of saying, okay, destock, what are you doing it for, whatever else. When it's rough like that, if you're going to destock, you're not going to get much. And when you're thinking about what are you going to have when you come out the other side of this to keep going, if you've destocked, you've got nothing.
Yep.
We're sort of custom feeding through there, not to keep them alive, but to actually keep production up and keep fattening. Yes, it costs that little bit more. It doesn't actually take that much more feed with a livestock enterprise to feed for production as what it does to feed to keep them alive. So we're keeping enough, and we're turning them off as fats fully done to be able to afford to buy the feed to keep the rest going. You know, the boys were taking the road trains through to South Australia to pick up hay and grain and stuff. We were doing, you know, grape mark. We were doing, you know, whatever you could to keep it going. And it was a lot of work, and everybody was worn out and tired, and you're over it. But it also meant that when we got through to the start, you know, when it started to rain in 2020, that we already had calves on the ground. The cattle were already cycling. We fully ramped up, basically straight off the bat, which kept, and you go, right, we're through this. Yes, we had to sell our soul to get the grain side of it going, and that was tough. And there's, you know, there's tears.
Yeah.
I'll fully admit there was a lot of tears.
Yeah.
But it's like you get to the end of it, and yes, we had silo bags absolutely everywhere. I know people hate silo bags, but it's like, hey, you're doing what you can do. We need to get these off, and undercover silo bags has got to be it. But when even when you're sitting on top of the silo bag with the tape in your hands trying to fix it from where the birds have pecked holes in it, or the pigs have gone up the side of it, or whatever else, you're sitting there going, at least we've got a bargaining chip now. Yeah. We've got a bargaining chip. We've got somewhere to go. So yeah, the whys, you know that you're always going to have ups and downs. But you know, I've also done town jobs. I've worked in finance. I've worked for seed companies. And I've done other, you know, your classic 9 to 5 jobs, salaried jobs. Yes, you can do that, but it just depends where your mindset is, what your passion in life is.
A younger farmer asked me what's the best thing to get into agriculture, and I think it's really just find what your advantage is or what your passion is.
Find what your passion is. Find what you like doing. If you like and agriculture is one of those things where if you like mechanical things, well, fine, you can come and fix things. Hey, give me a call.
Yeah.
Pretty sure we can find something for you to fix. If you like to deal with livestock, you can deal with livestock. If you want to sit in an office, you can come and sit in an office. There's that sort of stuff. If you want to go out and play with sheep, you can do sheep. If it covers, if you want to be a beekeeper, you can be a beekeeper if you want.
Yeah.
And so if you want to go and be a fisherman, you can be a fisherman.
And there's rewards there to get. And speaking of rewards, there's some great partners with New South Wales Farmers. Like there is a bit of some benefits there to join up and for young and old.
There is for young and old. It's like one of the biggest things I've found is I've actually got the Bunnings card, and New South Wales Farmers has a deal with Bunnings where we actually get trade or better discounts on what we buy from Bunnings, and you go, oh, big deal, whatever else. I know with some of the stuff that when I've looked at the receipts that I've got from Bunnings, it's anywhere between, you get a 25% discount to a zero discount, depending on what it is. But generally it comes in around about that 5 to 10%. So if you're going in there and spending $100 at Bunnings on a couple of hoses and whatever else, well, it cost you $90. Okay, it's only a $10 saving. But each time you go in there, and if you're going in there to get drippers, or if you're going in there to get taps, and then you start going, all sorts of other stuff, it starts adding up after a while. And in the end, those discounts, you don't, if you've spent a couple of $100 with Bunnings over the year, those discounts actually cover your membership cost, which your basic membership cost with New South Wales Farmers is roughly $500 a year without the workplace relations package on top of it. But it's like, okay, you've got your Bunnings card. You can go in there, and if that's the only reason why you join New South Wales Farmers, so be it. Go in
Yeah.
there and make some savings.
Yeah, and like to insurance and everything, I think it might be good to highlight in the show notes what the rewards are, but also the regions that you can get on the committee, be a fly on the wall, understand what's going on, and then find out what you want to make some impact. But also for the focus groups, your grains committee to horticulture, whatever it may be, what you're working in is what you want to fight for, really, isn't it?
It is, and it's getting up there, and part of it is coming along, and you've got somewhere to, if you know, we've all got viewpoints, but if you're talking about something down at the pub on your bar stool with the fly on the wall or whatever else, that's where it's going to stay.
Yep.
And you're waiting for somebody to go and fix something for you. If you're not putting that viewpoint out to somebody who can hear it, who can then take it further, then all it's going to do is stay with that fly on the wall at the pub.
Yep.
And it's like, so if you want to, you know, have a little bit of input or find out what's going on, or maybe, I know when sheep EIDs were coming in, we were having a lot of discussion about sheep EIDs. And so it's helping to keep you just that little bit informed, even though, you know, most of us all like to live in our own little bubbles, but in the end we can't. You've got to remember that you're dealing with an organisation that is covering a broad range of people, climates. Even though we are an industry, we have a whole heap of segments within that industry. So it's like, so everything that's coming out of New South Wales Farmers is not going to interest you.
But no, I was saying before, just driving through, going new places, same places. I think it's cool just to, you know, how you go window shopping.
It is.
I go paddock shopping.
You do, and you look and you see, oh, so-and-so's doing this, or you have a look here at that backwater cow and go, okay, there's that much here. So, you know, the rain here probably wasn't that much. You can see there's a bit of green pick against the edge of the roads, you know, okay, they've had a bit of a shower of rain through here. And I know even at harvest time when you go on parts runs and stuff, when I get back to the house, the boys always say, now who's harvesting? Who's doing this? And you've got to be able to report back who's got a header where.
So the header's out.
Oh.
You're chasing.
Well, it's a bit like some of those stupid things you see across Facebook where, you know, all the farmers are sitting in the kitchen and then somebody will come in and say, you know, the neighbour over there's got their tractor out or the header out, and the next minute everybody's like, whoa, that's it, we've got to go. You know, keeping up with the Joneses.
Driving to Sydney the back way than the main way, or like even Broken Hill.
Yeah. It's
been cool to see like other farms develop over the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Like they got a shed, they got a bigger shed. Their crops look cracking as well for the year, and I've got a couple of favourite paddocks around New South Wales that are like, geez, that's a nice paddock. I'd love to buy that paddock one day.
Well, I know also there's other things like having gone backwards and forwards to Sydney a little bit over the last couple of months, you know, and taking the back way and going through Mudgee or going through Orange or whatever else. But you're going, holy shit, they're going to have a tough winter over here if we don't get rain, because they've got no green feed and their dams are empty.
Yep.
And just being able to get that bit of empathy, I think, too, for somebody else. It's like you're seeing, okay, we know what's happening in our patch. Yes, we were dry, but, you know, we were hanging on. Whereas you're looking over there going, and you're knowing that their winter is fairly ordinary. And it's like, you know, they don't grow much through winter.
Well, the time comes for everyone. Driving to Sydney at the moment, like it gets worse and worse until you get to Lithgow, where they started to have the rains in the mountains. I think really just, knowing that your time will come for the good times and the bad times, whether that's going to be a couple of years in 10 or 5 years in 10, you'll never really know. It's just being prepared.
You don't
having
know.
A crack. So what happens at the local level for New South Wales farmers? How do you work, like physically, to how do you meet up and everything?
Okay, physically within the Dubbo branch, we have meetings. We were having them every 2 months. We sort of haven't had a meeting for a little while at the moment. We're sort of not having a hiatus. There's not a whole heap of pressing issues coming along and biting us at the moment that people are really aware of. So, apart from Capra beetle and you know, GRDC levels, whatever else, it's like, so sometimes it just takes, and it's a bit like RFS and anything else, it takes a disaster to bring people back out of the woodwork again.
What would you like to see for New South Wales farmers and like other states, territories, organisations?
New South Wales farmers as itself, obviously we need to make sure that we keep we keep our voices active. We're up against, you see a lot of things coming in. I mean, gun reforms at the moment are pretty topical, and it's like you get a lot of people over in the city areas that don't understand what we as grassroots farmers need our guns for. It's like one gun should be enough. Well, it's like actually the gun that you're going to use to shoot the hare is different to the gun that you're going to use to shoot the calving cow that you've really got to put out of its misery, is different to the gun that you're going to need to do in that mob of pigs, is different to the one that you're going to need to do in the fox that's just running.
Where should we be active on there though? Like we've got Facebook groups and whatever, or like people just commenting and then you jump on and say this is that. Is there better ways to do it? Because I feel like that we get lost in the jargon conversation of what's going on, of just what's the heat of the moment on social media.
And we do.
Like, is there a good channel?
And it's a bit like your pub. Part of it is being when you're part of New South Wales Farmers and you're getting that email each week, it's actually telling you what is going on behind the scenes, what policies they're working on. So you can see that, hey, okay, something is happening or something's not happening. And, you know, obviously gun reform at the moment is a big one. So that has been coming out in the newsletters saying, and you go, oh, okay then. So, you know, we are having some input into it as a, you know, as an organisation, as a group, as a grassroots level. So that is definitely part of it, keeping up to date. And it's like, and to have, you know, so that in itself is one of, I suppose, one of the benefits of being part of New South Wales Farmers, is because then you do actually get to see that there is work happening behind the scenes, because we can all get lost in the fact that we think nothing's happening and nobody cares.
Yeah.
So.
And it can be a bit of a social thing as well. Like you
very much so.
Get mates within New South Wales Farmers that you keep in touch with. Like I ring all my farming mates throughout the week just to catch up, see what's happening.
And it is like that. It is ringing up and talking to your mates, knowing who to talk to and going, right, this is what's coming up. This is how we need to attack it. The meeting is more sitting there going, okay, this is how we actually make it go forward. It's like, but then the other thing is too, is when you've got all these people, you know, when you're in a collective group, whether it's at a meeting that you've gone to or whatever else, somebody might say something and it might be about something that you haven't even thought about. And you've gone, oh yeah. But then they give a totally different opinion to what yours is. It doesn't mean that their opinion's wrong or that your opinion's wrong. We've all walked different paths. It just makes you actually think about things from a far different angle than what you were. And then sometimes you think, well, okay, maybe the solution I was thinking is not the way we need to go. We need to tackle this a different way.
I think one of my party tricks is that I could nearly name a grower for every fruit and vegetable product that was in, maybe not a protein bar, in Woolworths. And I think that's a cool thing. And like it's a bit the same of these organisations such as New South Wales Farmers, of having a voice for each part of agriculture. And really it is food that we're eating every day. We're not growing it for the sake of, for our own.
We're not looking at it.
Yeah, it is something like, it's a need within humans to actually eat food each and every day. There's 3 meals.
Well, and our cotton shirt, buddy, our cotton shirt.
And our cotton shirts, food
Sorry,
and fibre.
you need that, food and fibre. It's not just the food. And it's like, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm not real keen on...
like even the wool guys, they're having a bit of a win with the price going up, and
exactly.
hope it can trend up.
There's all sorts of stuff like that. And it's like you just sit here and go, well, you know, we think about food a lot, but it's also fibre, and there's a lot of talk about, you know, clothing and the waste in clothing and whatever else, and, you know, with renewable energies and all sorts of stuff. But let's face it, if you're wearing synthetic clothes, they're not made out of something that's actually renewable.
Yeah.
It's like, let's be real here. It's like, we still need people out here. And I mean, another thing, typical farmer, another thing that annoys me is somebody looks at a paddock like that and they think, oh, monoculture.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, a paddock like that is not a monoculture. It has got lizards in it. It has got beetles and bugs in it. It has your straw-necked ibis or your glossy ibis or whatever else, or your hawks and your crows and everything else coming along and eating those bugs out of there. It has soil microbes. It has earthworms. It has all sorts of stuff happening within that paddock. If we go, okay, don't have that paddock, let's turn it into a national park, that's great. But whatever was on that paddock that we were using, you know, in that case it was a wheat paddock, putting into our bread. We no longer have that. Yes, we've got a national park there, that's great. Now what?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, we still need to have trees, we still need to have national parks and all the rest of it. We need the biodiversity, but don't look at a paddock like that and think that there is nothing happening there.
Yeah. I think, like, as a farmer listening in, watching this video today, thinking about, oh, what is my biggest asset to the farm, and sort of overlooking themselves.
Yeah.
Putting themselves out there, or like upskilling, learning something new that could impact their personal life to farm life. How could their farm improve? How could their routine improve? I think we really do overlook ourselves as the number one asset to the farm is yourself and the people.
And we don't value our time either.
Yeah.
When we're thinking about things, it's like, oh, it'll cost us this much to do this, and it's like, hang on a minute, you also need to add your time into it. And I suppose in a way that's another role that New South Wales Farmers plays when you're employing people with the workplace relations package that's on the industrial relations package that New South Wales Farmers have. Because even, and I'll fully admit, even though I'm on the workplace relations committee, I'm not all over all the fully stuff you got to be dealing with workplace. And sometimes you have a hiccup. You might have somebody going, one of your employees, that things are not panning out right, or they've come over. I've had an instance where one's come over with the wrong visa and wanting us to do stuff, and I've ended up ringing New South Wales Farmers and going, hang on, they've got this visa, they need this visa. Is there any way while they're in the country we can, change things around? And they've been able to give me an answer. I haven't had to troll through that whole website you've got to get on with working out visas and stuff like that. So that's not my skill set. Outsource that. We've got a great resource within New South Wales Farmers with that industrial relations stuff with Gracia and the team up in head office. And it's like, why have I got, it's the same with anything on our farm. If we're not good at it or whatever else, why are we persisting with it? What is the value of our time in persisting with something that we're only going to stuff up anyway when we could be outsourcing it?
I think delegation, like on farm, but also to external parties, to New South Wales Farmers, to your farming group, like, can you help me with this?
Yeah.
On flat chat, I can't study the policy of visas, of what can and can't do. Can you be in the country, outside the country? There's probably no reason to actually learn that. Lean on the people around you. Improve your support group as well.
Improve your support group, and just and have in the back of your mind that whatever happens, we've got this resource there. If you need, when you start getting into it with your employment contracts and stuff like that you need to have in place with things, instead of trying to make it up yourself or do Dr. Google and try and hope you've got it right. Get it. They've already, New South Wales Farmers, once you're in that industrial relations packages, you get all the templates for your employment contracts and stuff like that. Why are you trying to reinvent the wheel? It's like, I got better things to do. I'm going to be sitting outside playing with the dogs or something.
Yeah. Talking to roadblocks, we've got another one.
Talking to roadblocks, here's another one. Let's have one. That's like. But yeah, that is a big thing. It's like, don't think that we've got to be good at everything, because, well, maybe some people are, but I'm certainly not.
How long has this been going on for? Forever?
Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they did the bridge up here across the river a couple of years ago. Then we didn't have much happening here, but then they were doing the bit that your brother was involved with back there. This has sort of morphed on from that. They've been doing a bit around the Mundry race course. It's like, it's just...
So how far is Mundry from here?
Not far.
Yeah, right. I've never been to those races.
Haven't you?
Ah.
Well, see, that's another good social event.
Yeah.
We tend to go every year. It's like, yeah.
No, it's grown and grown, I've heard.
Yeah. And that's one of those things, just keep your little community events there.
Yeah. We used to have the Louth races, the Cresswell Cup.
Oh, okay.
Until my great aunt died.
Yeah.
She lived in Narromine for a bit.
Yeah, because you guys were originally, your father was originally, out that way.
We did homeschool through Broken Hill.
Yeah.
Until we moved into Dubbo. And then we kept on to it until 2011.
But there was some tough years out there, but also some good ones.
And I know we all look at it in hindsight and go, we should have.
Yeah.
But you're making the decisions based on what you know at the time,
Good at the
what,
time, yeah,
what
yeah,
your circumstances are at the time. And you just got to
Roll
with it, because we can all go, oh, I should have kept that and sold it later on, or I should have done this, or I should have done that. It's like, yeah, it's a bit like what we're talking about, you know, back when things were tough there in 2017, 18, 19, and sort of everyone's saying, well, sell this or do this or whatever. It's like, A, who are you going to sell it to? What are you going to get at the end of it? But farmers, unlike, you know, your 9 to 5 job workers who can give their 4 weeks notice, change jobs.
Yeah.
When you've got your property, A, is not going to sell in that time, in 4 weeks for a start, unless you've got a ridiculously low price on it. You've got your machinery, you've got your livestock, you're set up to do what you're doing, and you can't just change courses even in 6 months. It's not that easy to change. So when people say, oh, we were resilient through droughts and floods and everything else, I think it's more like you're on a bucking bull and you're hanging on for dear life.
Yeah.
And, you know, hoping you can ride the 8 seconds effectively, because you're nowhere near as flexible with what you can and cannot do compared to a wage earner.
Yeah.
If you start jumping around going, oh, well, wool's good at the moment, so I'll jump into sheep now. By the time you've got your system up to something that's capable of producing what it needs to, the trend's already changed.
Yeah.
Cattle will be good, or wheat will be good, or...
Well, those in wool now are rewarded for hanging in.
That's what it comes to. So if you're good at that, stick with it. It's like, yes, be diverse and have fingers in more than one pie for sure, but...
Yeah. And it'll be the same for the wheat price when it goes back up.
Yeah.
It's pretty low at the moment.
Oh, and getting lower.
But there's ways to, I don't know, improve everywhere, like from on-farm storage, to say that you can get a better price at a better time.
That is one thing I have really noticed over the last couple of years within the grains industry, is the change in on-farm storage. Like having grown up west of Moree, on-farm storage was that was what you did.
Had to,
yeah. It had to. With the size of the operation we have out here, we've got you know, as I said before, we had silo bags, and, you know, we've got a lot of on-farm storage because we just cannot cart. We're too far from a bulk handler. B, we just couldn't keep it away from the headers even if we tried. When you've got 8 headers, you can't keep.
Yeah.
It doesn't work logistically. But now, even around in this district, in this Narromine district, and even further south, there's a lot more coming in for, you know, on-farm storage, because when you've delivered to a bulk handler, well, okay, they keep your weevils under control. Once you've got that docket in your hand, that's it. The whatever quality, whatever tonnage you've got on that, that's what you've got to sell. Whereas when you're on farm, you've got to, you know, mess around with your crop hygiene, you've got to have your storage hygiene right, you've got to do that, your access points and all the rest of the stuff in your storage. But if you've sold to a bulk handler, you can only then, or not, if you're storing with a bulk handler, you can only then sell to whoever is taking deliveries out of that bulk handler. Whereas when you've got it on farm,
Have the option.
you've got an option.
Yeah.
If you want to do this, if somebody comes along, you want to do that, well, you've got an option there. You can get it up and open up your things. You can, you know, keep it going through the year. You don't have to sell all at once, and you don't have to with the bulk handler either. We can sell all year round, but it's like, right, we've got this up our sleeve. I know, you know, even with our lot, when they talk about doing something, and I'll just go, and how are we going to pay for that? And they go, right, we've got this many tons sitting here, so we can do that. That's like, you know, because the basics of farming is whenever you're doing anything, you've got to work out to how many tons of wheat, you know, of grain you're going to need for that, or how many head of sheep, or how many, you know, get it right back to basics and say, it's not just dollars, it's like how many of this particular commodity that we've got on hand do we need to put towards another resource?
Yeah. Your trip in Canada that you nearly didn't come home for,
Yeah.
come back home for, what, and like with New South Wales Farmers, what sort of things do you look for, like what's happening overseas that might impact us here domestically and for our export market?
You're always looking at a lot of things. One thing that living in Canada did for me was, and it happened to be at a time when the wharfies were on strike here in Australia, and it made you realise how fragile our trading here in Australia is, because we are a long way from the rest of the world. Trying to get ships and barges into our ports, we're not on the main road from anywhere, whereas all those countries over there in Europe and Canada and America and whatever else, you know, if they can't get into one port, well, they can pop over to another country. It's not an issue. There's, you know, whereas here, if they're coming to Australia, they're coming to Australia. It's not so they can then bypass and go to some European country.
Yeah.
So it made me realise how fragile we were here in that regard, and how small effectively we were to the rest of the world. But it does also mean that you keep an eye on what are their crops doing, how are their cattle going, you know, what are their seasons like. You can't, obviously other things that impact us, you know, when the Russians started bombing Ukraine, it's like, right, how much of an effect is this going to have on what we're doing? And where are things going to go from here? I mean, it's Trump with his tariffs. It's how is that going to affect things? It's like, you know, even with our beef and with our wheat, because obviously, even though we sort of sit here and go, well, okay, with one commodity or another, you've got to remember that if you're a beef producer, the grain that you're putting into your finishing off your livestock or whatever has got to come from a grain producer. If grain prices go up, obviously there's less margin in it for a feedlotter. When grain prices go down, feedlotters hook in.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a whole heap of symbiosis in agriculture, whether we like it or not. It's like none of us are standing alone in our own little silo, so to speak. It's like we're all intertwined, and what's happening in one market has a big influence on what happens in another. Righto, jump out.
Nice clean paddock.
Yes, thank goodness, so we don't have to spray too much at the moment.
So to understand what we really want out of farming for New South Wales farmers, I suppose it's a little bit of insurance that people have our back behind the scenes of what's going on, just like WFI do for the insurance game, but for us on farm, off farm as well, for your many roles that you have, Tracy.
Yes.
I suppose it's about doing a little bit more to gain a little bit for yourself, for your community, and what you do.
Yeah, it's gaining stuff for yourself, your community, your business, just being that little bit more active, seeing other people's ideas, bringing your ideas as well.
If we're buzzing about, but all together in the same direction.
Yeah, we
That's
need to
what
all
it's
be
about.
buzzing about with our separate businesses, but heading in the same direction, so that we are so that we remain a force to be dealt with.
Yeah, and to bring that impact back on farm, but also like overseas for our exports, everything.
Yep.
Like we said today, passing through, we could talk about so many issues or poignant moments that's going on in farming. Everything impacts what we're doing on the farm with our soil, and then taking it down to Canberra as well. So to wrap it up, it's been amazing to speak with you, Tracy, to find out what actually happens with New South Wales Farmers Committees. We'll have everything in the show notes so you can see what regions, locations, and also like what part of agriculture you're involved in to it. But to run this podcast and to speak with farmers, that's the thing that we really need to do, and to create impact, that's what we're all here for.
And we all just need to stick together so that we're a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. So thanks for listening to the episode, watching along. You'll find all the notes in the show notes down below, and check out New South Wales Farmers. But if you're in another state, go and check out your other organisations. We're all connected, and I think New South Wales Farmers are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
to meet you.
Likewise. Let's go. Lunchtime, isn't it?
Yep. Seatbelt's on so it doesn't start beeping. Got to take a few flies with us too.
At least it's cool.
It is cool today.